Witam Państwa bardzo serdecznie. To program Over the Net, wydanie numer 33. Dzisiaj nasze zaproszenie przyjął legendarny siatkarz, znany na pewno wszystkim koneserom siatkówki. Jest nam bardzo miło, że dzisiejszym gościem jest Bas van der Haar. Hello, Bas.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good, and you?
Very good, very good. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you. It's a pleasure, of course. Bas, first, how many times in your life did you hear a comparison to Michael Jordan?
Oh, not too many. I mean, I think he is the biggest team player of all time in a big sport, and every comparison they make with Michael Jordan, I think honestly is a little bit too much honor. But of course I'm flattered if people compare me with him. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. We know every one of us know the influence and his career. And do you know who first named you as a Michael Jordan of volleyball?
I think it was my coach.
Yeah,
Joop Alberda. Yeah.
Joop Alberda, your coach from national team. Yeah. This is very popular now. You can find it, everyone. That Michael Jordan of volleyball was Bas van der Haar. Bas, how did you start your career? Tell us about it. In Holland, wasn't a great country and with great tradition of volleyball. Yes.
No. I started playing when I was 9 years old. My friends on school started playing volleyball just in the neighborhood, and I tried to go to the training with them. And I thought it was a nice sport, but I did some different sports. I played football, I played judo, tennis, table tennis, swimming. So I tried different kinds of sports, and at the end there was only tennis and volleyball, but I wasn't good enough for tennis. I was too tall, I think, and that helped me playing volleyball. So at the age of 15, 16, I chose for volleyball to be my main sport, and then I started entering the youth national teams, and more people were telling me that I had some talent playing volleyball. So I decided to go into this direction. Yeah.
And directly as a middle blocker?
Yes, I've been always a middle blocker, and I made some side steps in the national team, and also in my club team in Dynamo. We played, I'm not sure if we played the triangle, which is like with 3 middle blockers. One is like a pure middle blocker, one is a little bit middle blocker and a little bit spike receiver, and there is one opposite who also has one position in the middle. And I was the spike receiver of the 3 middle blockers. So I did some receiving and some outside hitting. So I really liked it because it was really doing all different types of roles. Yeah.
Okay, we will talk about later about the roles and the rules of volleyball. It's also interesting in the moment when you played. But did you have any traditions in your sports traditions in your family, for example?
Well, my father played tennis. My mother played tennis, and my father once every while with some friends he just rented a gym, just a small gym, and played some volleyball. But it was really low profile. They were not like they were just playing for fun, no high level. So for me and my brother, who also played at the highest level, it was coming from us. Yeah.
Yeah, but your brother started his career much later than you. Yes, 16 years.
He was 16 years old when he found out that, because he's 1.5 years younger than I am. Yeah. So he saw me play and he thought, well, if you're tall and you like the game, let's give it a shot. So he tried, and he
finally followed you. He finally followed.
Yeah. He made it till the Olympic final too. So we were playing, both of us, in the Olympic final. So you can imagine that my parents were really proud. Yeah.
Yeah, the situation from 1996. Of course, we will mention it. But 4 years ago, 4 years later, was the same situation. Grbic brothers were on the gold medals.
What? Excuse me.
In Sydney 2000,
Uh-huh.
the same situation. Yeah, two brothers on the with the gold medal. Grbic,
Oh yeah.
Nikola and Vladimir Grbic.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm of
Yeah,
course.
the same situation.
So Nikola
yeah,
and Vladimir, yeah, they were they played together, and I think they're a great couple. So and we were fighting Italy until the final in the years before, and they were also fighting Italy in the years before. And at the end, we managed to make it to the highest stage of the Olympics.
Yeah,
both. I think they really played well over there. Yeah.
Yeah, but okay, let's talk about the golden era. Yeah, probably you were interviewed many times in your lives about this golden era, but because 90s, it is said that Italian national team was the this word generazione di fenomeni.
Yeah.
But we know that Holland was a really golden time, had a golden time in 90s. Yeah, you born. It was born in probably in the Olympic Games in Barcelona, 1992. You arrived to final.
Yeah. So the Olympic dream in the Netherlands started in '86. So then we were like number 25, number 30 of the world ranking. And there were a couple of guys who decided that they wanted to give it a shot to go as high as possible. And they start collecting all the best players from the competition into one gym, and they start training out of the competition. So this is called the Bankras model. And Bankras is like the name of the gym where they train 6 years every day. And then they were getting from '86 till '88, they were number 5 in the Olympics in Seoul. And that was a really big achievement because in 2 years you go from 25 to 5 of the world. And then they tried to go, because the main goal was gold in Barcelona in '92. We had some problems. Well, because I was not part of the team yet, they had some problems because a few players couldn't stand it to just train, and they wanted to break out and go to the to the Italian competition. So Peter Blanger, Jan Postuma, Ronald Sootsma, and Rob Grabert were 4 players who left the national team to play for the Italian championship. But they came back before the '92 Olympics to play in the summer and to participate. And they lost the final against Brazil in '92. And then after this final in '93, I was a young guy and I entered the team together with Richard Schuil, together with Guido Geurtsen, with my brother. So there was like the next young generation. So I participated from '92 till 2000 in 2 Olympic cycles. Yeah.
Yeah, but who was before on the middle in the middle? Jan Postuma.
Jan Post and Henk-Jan Held.
Jan Held, yeah.
Yeah.
And
so
the very tall guy, Van der Horst.
Martin van der Horst. Yeah, he was also in the middle. So those 3, Henk-Jan Held, Martin van der Horst, and Jan Postuma, were the 3 main middle blockers. And then and Ronald Sootsma, of course. Ronald Sootsma, he was also playing in Italy. Those were the 4 guys playing on the middle. When I entered, Ronald Sootsma was out.
Okay. And then the successes, yeah, European Championships 1993 with medal.
Yes. So when in '93, I was like the number 12, I think, on the team, the number 11, number 12, just like the 4th middle blocker. But I got the possibility to enter during the European Championship in '93 in Finland.
Yeah.
I played 2 matches, and those were the 2 matches against Italy. So in the pool phase, in the final, and 2 times it went quite well. So then that was like my entering the stage moment, the international stage, and that gave me quite some confidence to be able to play on that level at least once. So that was the moment that I decided to invest completely in volleyball, because before I was studying and playing volleyball, and then I want to just focus on playing volleyball. So I stayed 1 more year in the Netherlands, and then I decided to go to Italy.
And it helped, but the period in Italy, we'll talk about it later, Bas.
Okay. Yeah.
But then Italy won the championship in 1993.
Yes.
And
yeah.
also World Championship 1994.
94 and in 94, Joop Albeda, our trainer, tried to play with 4 middle blockers in the starting 6. So I was playing outside hitter. Henk-Jan Held went to the opposite hitter, and Ronald Zootsma and Jan Postma were playing middle blocker, just to add length and speed in the game. But of course, for me, this was like on the highest level. The first time that I played on this position, this is quite difficult. I had like an experienced spiker receiver behind me. I was playing together with Ron Zwerver, and behind me was Rob Grabert, who was like really great in defense. And I think I was like a little bit better in offense, but sometimes he backed me up when I had some difficulties. Yeah.
Okay. But Italy was your greatest
Italy won again.
opponent.
Yeah. Italy won again. They were the world champions. And I remember the last set, we lost 15-1 in the final.
Yeah, Luca Cantagalli finished the match.
On me. Yeah. He served an ace on me. Yeah. So that was my only world championship final, which we lost. So so this was tough. So we lost the second final.
Final, then 1995 also.
95. We played in Greece, the European Championship. We played in Greece the World Championship, and the European Championship in 95. The year later was also in Greece. And we lost in the World Championship 94 3-1, and then the European Championship 3-2. So it was close, but we made one step to them, but was not enough. Yeah. And so we won we lost 3 gold. We won 3 silver medals the last 3 years. And of course, we also had the second place in the Olympics in 92. I wasn't part of them at that time, but for us, it was like 4 times silver medal, which of course, when you play sports, that's really nice.
Silver medal is, according to some opinions, the silver medal is the only one loser on podium.
Yes. Yeah,
because bronze is always after winning match. Yeah, but silver 4 times in a row. So it's coming the Atlanta 1996, and what's the main target for your national team to beat Italy? To meet them first of all, and to beat them, was it the target? For example, the target number 1, we have to finally win, because on the other side, Italy probably they haven't won the gold medal in history as well. See, so the motivation of the generation of phenomena was also very strong. Yeah. The goal for you?
In the Netherlands, well, the first time you are second, that's like a confirmation that you're on top of the world. Not the highest point, but you're really good. And then when you come back, you say, well, maybe this was just a one-time achievement. So the second time you get second against Italy, well, then you know, okay, we're there, and it could be structural. But after the third and the fourth silver, then it gets disappointing. So then the question was not, are we trying to aim for podium? I mean, we had enough of silver, so we wanted to have the gold medal. And so that was basically our target. And we felt confident that it could be possible. And one very important thing what happened was that the World League final was also in the Netherlands in 1996. And we won sometimes of Italy, but when it counted, never. So we had to gain confidence by winning from them once in a final, because we lost every final. So when we reached the final in Rotterdam in '96, we had a 20-25 set victory of really great arena. And so this gave us a lot of confidence to go to Atlanta. And
few weeks before Olympic Games.
Yes. Luckily, in the Olympics, we had Italy in our pool, and they were really frustrated because they lost a big final. So they just had some anger and they threw it at us during the pool phase, and then they lost it. So if we met them in the final with this anger still in them, maybe the final would have gone differently, but I'm not sure. And as you tell me that the Italians were really focused because they were the best of the era, that's completely true. I mean, we just played with them during the championships, but they were really big names, and there was a great generation. And I'm not sure if this is like an international saying. In Holland, we say there is like a law of the breaking advantage, which means if you're in front, then you have to look back if people are getting you. And if you're number two, you can look forward and try to catch somebody. And this gives you the power to do something extra. And this is one important rule that I learned during this period. If you are number one, try to train if you're number two. Because and we were doing this because we were sick of getting second, and we had nothing to lose. So we just went in all in, and that worked out quite good.
So you had an extra motivation, to fight against one of the best team in the history. But did you believe all the time? And do you remember the match exactly with precise? Could you remember maybe, I don't know, 3-4 last points, because you were let's call it the hero of these points. You finished the match ball for Italy, and you served the last 2 points.
Yes.
Do you remember
it? Well, I've seen the points that many times right now, because every time if I am asked to tell about this final, I bring the video. So from 10-10 in the 5th set, I can draw every point. But it's I can remember especially also the whole day. What we did when we got up, we did some stretching in the beginning. We were on the last day of the Olympics, so the day before, on August 3rd, our hockey team won gold. So there was a big party in our side of the campus of the Olympic Village, and then we have to stay focused to play our game. And what the really nice thing what happened was that the whole Dutch team entered the stadium just a few points into the game. So we saw these guys with like 250 people, from the biggest athletes from the Netherlands. They came to cheer us because we were the last thing that was going on the Olympics, and that gave us some tremendous energy. And of course, we knew we had to fight the best team in the world, but we really had some confidence that we could make it. And the only thing was that everybody had to be at 100%, because they were having I think a little bit a broader bench. If they had Bracci and Bernardi and Cantagalli and Papi and Gianni and Zorzi, and I mean Gravina, Gardi, everybody was there. It was a really, really fantastic team.
Galacticos.
Yes. So we had a strategy and didn't think about breaking, just full ahead. And
what was the key to success, Bas? How do you think? How do you find after 25 years now, because the anniversary, 25 years from this gold medal, from this great success? How was the key? What is the, I don't know, the team or maybe the coach?
I'm not sure, because if this is so close, I think a few things are working. It's about what you expect is going to happen. Do you have the confidence what's going to happen? How are the relations in the team? What's going to happen? Is there because we lost a lot of finals because maybe our focus as a team, as the players between us maybe was not like 100%, maybe only 99%. And this could also be for Italians during the Olympics. I'm not sure, because when I came back in Italy, of course, I had Sartoretti, Bracci, Gianni and Cantagalli, who were playing on my team. So I heard a lot of stories, and every team things happen, which can be positive and negative. And without telling you what happened, there could be some energy which was not happening, helping to win the gold medal. So and when the differences are like a few points, these can play a big part.
Yeah, but you really believed after this, of course, this success, a great success, to repeat it 4 years later, and you were in this different situations that was upside down. Yeah, the history of volleyball and sport and so on. Once you win, once you lose, and in quarterfinal against Yugoslavia, you lost 17-15 in fifth set with different rules of volleyball. Yeah, of course, because it was changed that time.
Well, first of all, when we were the Olympic champion, every match we played afterwards, we were heading into a game with the opponents. I don't know
how to beat you.
Con coltelli, coltello denti. Quindi, so that means everybody wanted to beat the Olympic champion, and we could stand for 1 year. We were the European champions in '97 in our home country, but then we started losing, and where Zwerver was stopped playing, Enken Held stopped playing, Blanchet was out for a while, so we lost some great players, and we started losing, and then everybody smelled some blood. We can win from the Dutch team, and that made us go into like a sinkhole for a while. And we, as the last team, we qualified for Olympics in 2000, because we had the possibility to, as a kind of a extra chance, we could enter the qualification tournament, because we lost in Poland on the 1st of January. I think it was Poland against Bulgaria for the final, and I'm not sure who won, because I just
Yugoslavia, Bulgaria.
Yugoslavia or Bulgaria, or maybe Yugoslavia. It's also possible. I'm not sure, because
But Yugoslavia, qualified from this tournament through Katowice.
Yes, I erased from my head. And then we got like through a back door, we got a possibility to qualify again in France. And we lost to France 4 times in the World League, 3-0, 3-0, 3-0, and 3-0. Unable to play France to win the 1 ticket to Sydney, and we won. And that was a great relief, because we really needed this positive energy. And then we went to the quarterfinals in Sydney against Serbia, and it was. The same feeling we had on the other side of the net in the Olympic final in '96. We had now as a loser, and we saw the Italian team on the stands waiting to see who they had to play, and they were, because we won from Italy the last 2 Olympic Games in Atlanta and in Barcelona. So they were happy that we lost, but then Yugoslavia went on to win 3-0 in the semi-final and 3-0 in the final. So you can only think what we are.
We're very close to repeat maybe the same result, but Yugoslavia was the best team in this event for sure. But you gained an award to be the best player, MVP of the tournament Olympic Games, both in Atlanta and in Sydney. You didn't win the medal, but you were the best player. So it's a great award.
I found out later. I didn't know that at that time, and I don't have any confirmation about this. And I think, as I have to look at it just objectively, I think the MVP of like a big tournament has to come from the winning team. it's impossible that a number 5 team delivers the MVP of the tournament. So for me, this last, I'm really grateful and thankful that this was the choice, of course, but I think maybe one of the Yugoslavian players earned it better. Yeah.
Yeah, but now I would like to ask you about the rules, because your playing in a national team was the ending part of all the rules. And when we are watching, for example, the final of Atlanta, it was the last the greatest event with all the rules without libero. So how can you find the rules nowadays, and of course with the past? Yeah, what was demanded? It was demanded something special skills from volleyball players, for example, from middle blockers, for sure. Yes, but how do you find it now?
Well, I think for somebody who is 2 meters and 9 centimeters, I was like a decent receiver, and when the libero was introduced, you could be specialized more as a middle blocker. So serving aces, blocking, and spiking were the only 3 things you had to do, instead of defending, playing defense and hold on in the reception line. And a lot of middle blockers couldn't hold it on the reception line, so they didn't play too much. But then with the rule change, they entered the court because they didn't have to do the backcourt things. And I think that hit me quite strong, because sometimes I was still playing also on the backcourt, but with some really heavy jump serves, I went out. But I think it damaged me quite in my role as a player. If I had to choose, we didn't had the libero until now.
Okay, but
sorry for all the liberos, but
fortunately it's changed. Okay,
yeah,
but Bas, about some words about Italy. You chose the Italian league in 1994 and directly to the really famous club, Pallavolo Modena. It was the name, and you spent there 6 years, 6 seasons, 7 seasons, six, and then 2 seasons in Sisley Treviso,
yes.
A very famous club as well. How do you find this period of your career? Probably the very important part.
Well, when people ask me about the highlights of my career, I always say the Olympic gold and the 8 years in Italy, because besides playing with the best players in the world at that time in Italy, every important player in the world played in Italy. It was really a pleasure to play with the best Italian players who were like 3-time world champions, and the rest of the world, the best of them. And for me, at the 80s, you had the Maxi Cono Parma against Panini Modena, which was like 4 years, like the Scudetto, playoff Scudetto. And I saw these players play, and then I was playing with them. Fabio Vullo, Marco Bracci, Luca Cantagalli. I mean, they were like big stars for me. So I was really honored that this big club asked me. And first they asked me to be like the ideal 7th player, because they were trying to get Andrea Gianni to play from Parma at Modena, to play in the middle, and to have me like the first player on the bench to be able to enter on the outside or in the middle. But then Gianni didn't come, and they put me on the middle, and that went quite well. So I was happy to be there. I had a great coach, Daniele Bagnoli, a great players who really made me feel comfortable and play at my best. I had to get used, because in the Netherlands, of course, you play for like some money, but that's not too much. And if you feel okay, you can stay. And here you had to play for like a contract, which was in the beginning different than I used to do. So sometimes in the beginning, as playing abroad outside your home country without your friends around you, being expected to do well. That's quite difficult, but I got really good support from the club and from the players and from the trainer to do my best for the whole year. And it was a super season because we won the European Cup, the Italian Cup, and the championship. So, I mean, we just dived into one big success story. Yeah.
Yeah, I was visiting a few times Pala Panini at the temple of volleyball in Modena. I saw your photos and I talked to you. And I know that you have a really good relationship now with the Modena. I saw on a film 3-4 years ago that you gave you received some presents from Pallavolo Modena, and they remember you very, very well. Of course, it's absolutely normal. But I would like to ask you about some maybe more or less fun stories, because 2003 you were diagnosed by a diabetic, and probably your life changed a lot. Is it?
Well, when you have diabetes type 1, like I have, your pancreas doesn't work that well, and the pancreas normally just try to get your glucose levels really stable, like the thermostat in your room controls the temperature. Well, this function is not working good with me, so sometimes my glucose levels go up and go down, and manually I have to manage the glucose levels. So once you figure out how to do that, you can do everything you want, but it's not that easy, as I just explained. It's quite tough to do, but I'm going really great with that. So of course it was tough for a moment, but as you speak to me right now, I made my job out of it, because I have my own foundation where I try to bring other people with diabetes, type 1 and type 2, to be as active as possible, because I think it helps you manage your glucose levels better. So
you would like to be the example of a person who can be very active and live normally with this kind of illness, of course. But
as you see, we organize camps. We bring kids but also adults to our activities and show them what you can do and how you can manage your glucose level. So for me, this was like a slap in the face at first, and now it's my job, and I really look forward to be with the foundation as partner also from the Dutch Federation. We are the charity partner of the Dutch Federation to work together on volleyball. Yeah.
But the second slap probably you had 2016, because you were diagnosed by a cancer. It was lymphoma, one of the many types of lymphoma. And did you win the battle?
Well, this was a really tough, much tougher slap in the face. So when the cancer word falls down, everybody has the anxiety to die. Of course, that's the first association. Well, luckily, I was treated with chemotherapy, which was good. It helped. So next May, so in May 2022, that will be 5 years that I'm free of cancer, and then the checks will stop. Until now, I have no reason to doubt about if it was a successful treatment, but of course it was really a difficult time. For like 5 months, I was having chemotherapy, and when the scan check was positive, it was positive, negative, but was good. That meant that I needed 1 more year to get my energy back, as was 100%, and then I just can continue to live. So
of course. But what did you help to win this battle at most? How do you think?
Well, people say that well, because you're like an athlete playing top sport, you can just be more focused on what you have to do. But that's in my case, I don't think so, because the only thing you can do is try to get the best doctors to see at your situation and try to get the best doctors to evaluate what is the best chemotherapy which is needed. And once you are starting with the chemotherapy, there is nothing you can do, nothing. So you have to like be like this, hope the chemotherapy works, and
have a lot of luck.
Yeah, a lot of luck, and believe in science, because they know what they do. They
trust the doctors. Trust the doctors. Believe in science. Yeah.
That's what I did. I can imagine people are thinking different, but that's what I did, and that's not the reason why it worked for me, because I really think you flip a coin and it works or it doesn't work. So I was lucky, and in some types of cancer, you have more possibility to come out well, and some types of cancer you have less possibility. But that's what I think about this. So I'm really happy that my plan was there is no plan. So I just let it go. I just when I felt being able to do the next thing in my recovery year, I did, and if not, I was sitting on the television watching Netflix, doing nothing, and just to take out the memory chip and just let the situation, and that seems strange, but I think it really helped, because if you want to push yourself to be ready quite fast, if your body isn't ready, then you can want what you want, but it's not going to work.
Luckily, you managed to win, and of course, we will cross our fingers for the future, of course.
Thank you.
Bas, one of the last questions: how do you think about the transfer your experience in volleyball to the next generation? You are not a coach, probably you didn't think about it, and maybe, but will the name of Van der Hoor will be continue the history of volleyball, because you have 4 kids, don't you?
Yes, I have 4 kids. My oldest is 16 right now, and my youngest 8. 2 boys and 2 girls, right now the boys are playing soccer and the girls are playing hockey. So there is no volleyball talent right now. So maybe they have to follow my brother, who started playing volleyball at 16.
Yeah, later.
So we still have some hope, but I encourage them to do what they want to do, and they're really happy with playing football. The friends playing football or hockey, so that's great. So I don't see any Van der Hoor in the foreseeable future playing volleyball. No.
Gold medal brothers, sisters. No, maybe one day, but not now. Okay, the last question, Bas. So when people, from our participants who will watch our program, can find you now, what do you do now? For example, foundation. You told us about foundation, and this is the main part of your life.
Yeah. So this is my job. We have a foundation. We are working with 10 people to organize activities for people with diabetes in the Netherlands. We are the charity partner also from the Dutch Federation Volleyball, and we have like a really active federation who wants to organize a lot of events. One of the biggest events was the World Championship Beach Volleyball in 2015. We were also the charity partner, and I was the tournament director. And we have like a big tournament coming up in 2022. We are going to organize it together with you guys. So that's really fun.
We know it, yeah.
The Indoor Women World Cup, the really big tournament, and I will be the tournament director in the Netherlands with Manon Vlier, Dutch player. Who I think one of the best players we ever had in the Netherlands. So we are going to host the World Cup in Holland. I'm really eager to see if we have some Polish colleagues who will be the tournament director in Poland. I'm really happy to meet them when they come up. So and that's what we do. So we're trying to get people involved into volleyball and also the people with diabetes.
Okay, so thank you very much, Bas. It was a great pleasure to host you in our program. We will, as I told you, we are waiting for the championship, of course, 2022. We hope without any problems with COVID, for example.
For the third time, fingers crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed for your health. Thank you very much. It was very nice, and see you soon. Bardzo dziękujemy za uczestnictwo w dzisiejszym programie. Przypominam, naszym gościem dzisiaj był Bas van der Hoor, holenderski siatkarz. Życzymy dobrego wieczoru i do zobaczenia w kolejnych odcinkach.